Imagine the silence. Only wind, cold, and an endless line of mountains. There, where the map dissolves into snow and sand, the known world ended. And yet, there were men who kept walking. The natives called it Chile, a name that the Spaniards adopted to refer to those lands at the edge of the world. A wild land of volcanoes, deserts, and valleys that seemed forged by the hand of God. In 1535, Diego de Almagro, a veteran of 1,000 battles, looked to the south and believed that his destiny awaited him there. He carried with him blood, gunpowder, and a promise to find another Peru. He crossed deserts where horses died and traversed mountain ranges where the cold killed before the sword did. And when he finally saw the Copiapó Valley, he realized he had arrived at the most beautiful hell in the world. But where Almagro saw desolation, another man saw a future. Pedro de Valdivia, a soldier without fortune or renown, descended along the same routes with a faith that knew no surrender. One discovered it, the other founded it. And between them a story was born, written with hunger, fire, and steel. The story of how Castile extended its voice to the end of the world. And there it found resistance, sacrifice, and glory.
My name is Diego de Almagro, at your service. Today I will tell you my story in the lands of Chile.
I served alongside Francisco Pizarro in the conquest of Peru, and we took Cusco in the name of the king. But soon, differences arose over the boundaries of the governorships. Emperor Charles V had signed the capitulations in Toledo that granted Pizarro New Castile, and to me, the title of governor of New Toledo, with a mandate to explore and govern the lands to the south, but without precisely marked borders. To avoid a bigger conflict, I decided to leave. In the middle of 1535, I gathered my people in Cusco. We were about 500 Spaniards, veterans of campaigns on foot and on horseback, and thousands of Andean auxiliaries in charge of carrying loads and of... There were also clerics, interpreters, and families. Our mission was to explore new lands, open routes, and establish His Majesty's authority where it had not yet reached. We took the Colasulo route and ventured into the Collao Plateau. The terrain was cold and at high altitude. The passes were harsh. The villages along the way watched us with suspicion, and we maintained discipline during the march. My goal was to determine the real extent of Nueva Toledo and to find suitable places to settle and support our people.
I knew the south was uncertain and had no reliable map. I also knew that if I didn't move forward, others would claim that city.
We followed the route through Paria, Tupiza, and Tarija. We ventured into regions where no European had ever passed before. The altitude punished us relentlessly. Many of the native auxiliaries died, and the horses, exhausted, collapsed. Corn was scarce, and supplies were reduced to just a few rations of jerky and cold water.
He turned it into a place. Discipline is the only thing that keeps us going.
The nights were so cold that the armor would be covered in frost, and the men would wake up with numb hands. And every day we left a comrade behind, with no time for ceremonies. My captains, Rodrigo Ordóñez and Juan de Saavedra, maintained order. Ordóñez was in charge of the advance and the rotations. Saavedra marched ahead with small reconnaissance parties. He was the one who found the pass that would allow us to descend to lower lands. The journey lasted for months. When we finally left the peaks behind, the world took on a different face. The ice gave way to an endless desert. The ground was arid with no shade or water, and the men walked shielding their faces from the sun. A green line appeared on the horizon among the sand. We didn't know what was there, but we all understood that the end of the journey was near. It was the Copiapó Valley, the first habitable land we set foot on after months of ice and sand. There we finally rested. The natives received us with suspicion, but without hostility. They were farmers and shepherds who cultivated the land by the river and lived in small villages. I took possession of the place in the name of His Majesty the Emperor.
Land ho!
After regaining our strength, we continued south. We crossed the valleys where the Diaguita people lived, hard-working and disciplined people with traces of the organization of the ancient Inca Empire. In some places, we found roads and tambos from the Tawantinsuyo, a sign that the rule of the Incas had reached there before us. After weeks of marching, we reached the Concagua Valley where I established the main camp. From there, I sent out small exploration parties. Captain Juan de Saavedra advanced further south, reaching the Mapocho Valley, and returned with news of a fertile land with rivers, abundant wood, and a mild climate. He was the one who discovered Valparaiso. There were no precious metals, only fertile land. The hope of finding a new Peru faded away.
In the end, I have to return to Cusco. Apparently, there are problems with Pizarro.
In the first months of 1537, we began the return journey.
I was the first to see those lands of Chile, and with that, I believed I had fulfilled my duty. However, peace did not await me.
When I arrived, I found Peru divided. Pizarro's supporters and my own were in open war. I maintained that Cusco belonged to my governorship of New Toledo, while the Pizarros claimed it as theirs.
Mi capitán Pizarro, nombrado por Dios y mi rey. Soldado.
In 1537, my troops occupied Cusco to secure my authority, although only for a short time. Francisco Pizarro sent his brother Hernando from Lima with reinforcements.
We faced each other at the Battle of Las Salinas on April 6, 1538. I lost and was captured.
They locked me up in the fortress of Sacsayhuaman. They accused me of rebellion and of usurping royal authority.
I have only followed the orders given by my king.
On July 8th of the same year, I received the sacraments and commended my soul to God.
Date de esta alma pecadora. En tus manos, Señor, encomiendo mi espíritu.
I was executed by the Garotville. They say that my son swore to avenge me, and years later he kept his word by killing Francisco Pizarro in Lima.
I did not conquer Chile. I discovered it. And even though history remembers others, my mark was the first.
Spain had reached the end of the world, and there, at the edge of the known, I left my life and my name. Pedro de Valdivia is my name. Now I will tell you about my journey through the lands of Chile. I did not see defeat on Almagro's path. I saw a promise. He opened the path. I had to make it take root. I had no fortune or titles. I was a soldier from Extremadura, hardened in the Italian campaigns, and called to serve wherever I was needed. In 1531, I received from Francisco Pizarro the license and commission to go to Chile as his lieutenant governor. With that support, I left Cusco in 1540. We were a little more than 10 Spaniards, with Lanacona auxiliaries and light livestock. With me came Inés de Suarez, whose steadfast spirit was both mace and shield in those hard days. We crossed the desert with measured steps. We learned from Almagro's march and traveled lighter and in better order. When we entered the Mapocho Valley, I knew that land could support a city. Water, meadows, guardian mountains, a natural center for future roads. There I ordered a palisade built, a cross planted, and the royal banners raised. On February 12, 1541, I founded Santiago del Nuevo Extremo in honor of the apostle who guides Spain.
But my lord, we are too few to maintain and grow this noble city.
Perseverance is enough for us. A city is built with few hands and abundant will. We distributed plots of land, opened irrigation ditches, and organized guards and cavalry. With every task, I repeated the lesson. Without order, there is no permanence. Without permanence, there is no kingdom. I knew that the real work began that day. Chile does not yield its fruits to haste. It demands sustained effort, vigilance, patience, and faith. But I had come to found, not to wander. That's why I made my home beside the town plan and swore to uphold it with everything a captain has. The sword, word and example. Founding a city is an act. Maintaining it is a matter of will. It had only been months since we laid out Santiago del Nuevo Extremo. Then the news spread. Michimalonco was gathering a large contingent of Picunches determined to erase our presence from the valley. It was September of 1541 when the horizon turned to smoke.
The defenses! I was out on campaign nearby, leaving only a small garrison in the plaza and in command those I trusted with my life.
Among them, Inés de Suarez, whose courage became a wall. The assault was fierce. The palisade creaked and many houses burned, but no one gave in. Inés organized the wounded, distributed water and gunpowder, and ordered the execution of the captured chiefs to break the attackers' resolve. The measure, though harsh, was effective. The enemy's push was broken, and the defenders caught a break. When I entered the city again, I saw ashes where there used to be homes. But Santiago was still standing. The townspeople looked at me waiting for the order, and I gave the only one that befits a work of Spain.
We don't give up here. We rebuild from the ashes. We are Spaniards. Keep that in mind. Pull together!
We repaired the palisade, dug new irrigation channels, secured the storage rooms, and kept watch. The city was reborn with military discipline. Where many would have seen an end, Spain saw the beginning of an era. In service of the king and for the good of the empire. A few years later came Lautaro's rebellion. That's where I met my end. But as we say around here, that's another story that will be told later.
Thank you for watching the video. Hugs from Historia Hispana.